Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Now today, I wanted to do another quick little list because it seems like everybody's been asking me the same question. And that is, Federico, I have about $1,000 to spend. What are some of your favorite watches? And you know what? $1,000 isn't a huge budget, but you can definitely get some really cool pieces. Now, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today, I'm wearing an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Diver. Now, this is not my watch. Don't get excited. A friend of mine actually picked up this piece, and I brought it in to get a band changed. So I'm giving it back to him tomorrow. But once again, perks of the job, I'm wearing it and enjoying it until I have to give it back. I'm sure he won't mind. So, watches under $1,000. There's a ton of choices, especially if you're willing to go vintage. And there's quite a few luxury watches in this category as well. But we have to look a little bit outside the box. So I came up with 5 decent picks that I think $1,000 will get you some pretty nice pieces. So let me know what you guys think. So the first watch I'm going to go with is one you can buy either gray market or even through an AD for about $500, and that is the Hamilton Khaki King Automatic. I really like this watch. It's a field watch. It's got the day and the date, and it's 38 millimeters. It comes on a decent, brown leather strap that gives it kind of a military look. Very easily legible, and Hamilton is a brand with a lot of history, owned by the Swatch Group. Maybe not the highest end piece out there, but it's running an ETA 2824, and you can usually find it for under $500. This is a great entry into Swiss timepieces. Not to mention, House wears it on the TV show, House, and it's kind of become a cult watch. I really like it, and I really think I'm going to be adding it to my collection just for fun. Now, number 2, I'm cheating a little bit. It's more of a category of watch, and that is vintage Omega. And boy, can you get a lot of great stuff in vintage Omega for under $1,000. You can get dress Seamasters, you can get Omega Geneves, my Chronostop single push piece was under $1,000. You have a ton of choices. You also used to be able to get the Omega Dynamic range under $1,000, but that unfortunately has gone a little higher. Now this gamut runs anywhere from manual wind, quartz of course, bumper movements, and even automatics. However, with vintage, you need to do your research. Make sure the dials aren't repainted and that it's not a Franken-watch and that everything's original. But you can definitely find some great vintage pieces in Omega for well under $1,000. Preferably the Seamaster. I really want one with a black dial, kind of like how Don Draper wore. It's a very classy looking piece. It's definitely a piece with heritage, and you've got a lot of years to run. So if you're looking for a birth year watch, you can get anything from the 60s, actually from the 50s to the late 80s. As you can see, there are a ton of choices. At number 3, we have one of my favorites, and that is a tank from Cartier, most likely from Le Must range. Now, these pieces do tend to run a little bit smaller, so while they're not suitable with someone of my wrist size, if I had a smaller wrist, I'd definitely buy one. These are mostly manual wind, and my favorite is the Vermeil range. Now, Vermeil is gold-plated, which I usually dislike. However, it's gold-plated on top of sterling silver. Very unique, something that Cartier and most brands used to do in the 70s and 80s. Now, the Le Must range, where most of these tanks are from, no longer exists. It used to be Cartier's entry-level range. Now it's replaced with the Solo range. But you can get some great Cartier tanks with interesting dials. They came in amber dials, white dials, blood red dials, and a ton of different dial configurations. So if you look around and you make sure, once again, like the Omega, that it's not repainted and that it's fully original, you can get that iconic Cartier look for well under $1,000. And I don't think there's anything that says class more than a Cartier tank. And you know what? If it's a little small for you, it'll make a great gift for the wife. Next up is a watch that just came out, and that is the Seiko Turtle. Now, everybody knows I own an SKX, and you can definitely get an SKX under $500, but I think the Seiko Turtle, which many people are touting as the replacement to the SKX, is where the value's at. It's got the new movement, which is hacking and manually wound. It's got that great vintage case shape. It wears a little bit bigger, and the bracelet is significantly better than the SKX. Over 200 meters water resistant, great, diving bezel. You can get a bunch of different dial options as well, from gilt dials to black dials to the great Patty Pepsi edition. This is a great watch, and it's very, very popular. Now, depending on the dial configurations, you can get them between $300 to $600, so well under $1,000, and you're getting a very, very well-made and rugged watch. One that I think is going to become a future icon if it's not considered an icon already. That's up to you to decide. But you also have the SKX if you want to spend a little bit less, and that's definitely well under $1,000. But the Seiko Turtle is a hell of a buy for a watch in this price range. But of course, you don't get the Swiss-made prestige, but not everybody really cares about that too much. And last on my list is a brand that's very underappreciated, and that is Baume Mercier. Particularly two lines of Baume Mercier where you can find for significantly less than $1,000. The first is the Classima, which is their kind of dress watch, which you can find in quartz or with a 28-24 at a movement. And these are pretty much modern, they're from the mid-2000s. However, if you want a chrono, you can go with the older Capeland. Not the Capeland that's out right now, but the older Capeland models running the Valjoux 7750. This is a brand owned by the Richemont Group, and, was always a very solid entry-level luxury brand. But right now, they can be had for a steal and well under $1,000. A great way to get a very well-made Swiss piece on a budget. Anyway, guys, these are my 5 picks. I know this is a little bit of a shorter video today, but I'm coming out with something special in just a couple of days, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to check out the description of this video for my Instagram account. That way you can follow me and get some watch content even on the days where I'm not uploaded. Thank you so much for sticking around for another episode of Federico Talks Watches, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.